This video is brought to you by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino.
Just a few days left until the Eagles' first game of the season, and we have some news here that there's an offensive player that's going to be heavily involved from the little time that he has been here, and a defensive player that has unlimited snaps, said by Vic Fangio. Let's get straight into it.
A killer buried, but not dead.
Darren, we better turn around. Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
Yo, what is going on, guys? I hope everyone's having a fantastic day today. Hope everyone's enjoying themselves. So a few more days and the Eagles have their first game, and we're getting to really, usually for the first week, before the first game happens, the coaches do talk about the players, and since we made a video the other day on some information, we have more information on specific players, even one on defense we really haven't talked about mostly this entire offseason, and to get your opinion on, could this player have a fantastic year on that edge position, and one player on the offense. But before I get into all of that, this video is sponsored by BetUS, and this is a word from our sponsors. If I'm the betting man, and I am, and you're rooting for the Philadelphia Eagles, this is the redemption year for Jalen Hurts. This is the year we get the bad taste out of our mouths from last season. If I'm going all in, ride or die with a Super Bowl and bringing that Lombardi trophy back to Philadelphia for a second time, you need to go to BetUS, and I'm not wasting any time with it. I'm putting $500 down as the risk and getting $7,000 back at the end of the year, because this offense is going to be explosive. This defense by Vic Fangio is going to be dynamic. New customers for BetUS get $125 deposit bonus on your first 3 deposits up to $2,000. You can't pass up on this for the most important season for the Philadelphia Eagles. Check the link in the description below, and I want to thank BetUS for sponsoring this video. All right, so interesting enough, okay, now this is for the offensive side of the ball, and Kellen Moore has discussed, and we did talk about this a little bit yesterday about Jahan Dotson, but more news from the other day is that Jahan Dotson is going to be heavily used, okay? So even with not much time with the Eagles after the trade, this is what he said, quote unquote. He said he'll be a great piece to our offense process. He'll be heavily involved, which we talked about because he has a bet here. Offensive coordinator Kellen Moore said today. So I feel like Jahan Dotson, I feel like has smart enough to pick up on a lot of things. They're not just going to give him way less snaps just because he hasn't been here long, but I think he's been here at least enough time to where he can learn the regular terminology of what they're doing offensively, and hopefully we get the mismatches. They really do need him. I mean, Johnny Wilson just came back. Britton Covey, I don't think they want to throw in there as a full-time wide receiver 3 at this point. They can always bring up Paris Campbell if that's what they want to do, because he is on the practice squad, and he's another guy that hasn't had a lot of time, missed a lot of time with a groin injury, made it to that third game and didn't really wow me too much. So do the Eagles feel like they're forced to keep Jahan Dotson as the starter, which he will be the starter regardless, but I'm saying just because he just got traded here, wouldn't they want to put someone else in there that has had a little bit more time? But I think they feel good with this decision, and I feel very good with this decision. This is a first game because, look, both the Green Bay Packers and the Philadelphia Eagles, there's not really much tape to look at here, not really much of a blueprint to look at what the Eagles are doing from Green Bay's perspective, and not much to look at from towards Green Bay from the Eagles' perspective. So because you can add in some different things and take advantage of these situations, the one thing you could take advantage of is adding some new plays to this offense, or to this defense, really, because like I said, there's not much out there when you get to that first game of the season. So the Eagles could take a lot of opportunity with Jahan Dotson and draw up some plays for him, because this is a late trade. So, Green Bay is not going to have any idea how the Eagles are going to use Jahan Dotson in this offense. You can look at Kellen Moore's past of how he uses guys, but specifically this is a new year, and because it's the first game, you could take out the bag of tricks and put things out there that Green Bay has never seen. And the Green Bay is going to do the same thing against us regardless. So, I'm not expecting this crazy game from Jahan Jahan Dotson, but you never know what could happen as the number 3 guy, and there'll be a lot of mouths to feed, so interesting to see who Kellen Moore is going to favorite in this matchup. Every game is going to be different here, so I think that's really interesting. Now, second, defensive player, Vic Fangio has talked about this player getting unlimited snaps. There's no snap count for Brandon Graham. If he's in, he's going to stay in, and he's going to wreak havoc, and that's Brandon Graham. We haven't really talked about Brandon Graham. We know he's going to retire after this year. Okay, what season is Brandon Graham going to have? We talked about this edge position a lot at this point, and we're very nervous about the defensive line in general generating pressure and really helping this secondary a lot. But at the same time, your edge position with Jalix Hunt coming back as a nice perimeter guy, but we haven't seen much of him going after quarterbacks. Nolan Smith, it's just not enough for me at camp to really say that he's going to get better this year, but hopefully he does. I'm rooting for the kid tremendously. Bryce Huff's getting paid $17 million a year, and you're really hoping that we'll see what happens with him. I think he'll be a fantastic player. I think Bryce Huff I feel more comfortable with out of all the edge rushers that we have as of right now, and then really Brandon Graham behind that, or really Brandon Graham in front, depending on how you look at it. Patrick Johnson, obviously, too, another guy that's got some nice pressures. I think has been a very under-the-radar player the last few years in Philadelphia, and I think he's really turned out to be something special. And I think, with more reps, Patrick Johnson could make some plays, but are we really counting on him that much? Brandon Graham, it was said by Vic that there's going to be an unlimited snap count for him if possible, and going to let him play as much as this is his last year. This is giving respect to the veteran player. You're not going to limit Brandon Graham. Coming off that Achilles injury, the Achilles injury a couple years ago, we didn't expect double-digit sacks for Brandon Graham. It was probably the most surprising thing we've seen. I mean, obviously we had three defensive linemen with double-digit sacks, I think. So you didn't expect Brandon Graham to have a season like that at an old age, coming off of an Achilles injury. That's, coming off of an injury like that at an old age is worse to come back from, and it seems like he did really well. What are your expectations? As long as he's disruptive, maybe the sack numbers won't be up, but what if they are up? What if he has what if he does well in these one-on-ones? We talked about the slide protection either from Jordan Davis to Jalen Carter, and there's going to be a lot of one-on-ones across the board on that defensive line, and who's going to win their matchups. Brandon Graham should be winning his matchup going forward, and could be not surprising because we know the talent that he has. We know Brandon Graham is, maybe has lost a step, maybe hasn't. Maybe he just needs to get pushed into a better system. Maybe this is the better system for him. We know he's not going to be in coverage or anything like that. We know that Brandon Graham is going to just be a pure edge rusher for this team. But how much of a bigger year could he actually have going into the 24 season? I would like to expect that he'll get pressures. He'll be disruptive in the backfield, but I'm not thinking that he's going to be a over 10 sack guy this year. I could say maybe 5 to 8 sacks for the season, but who knows? It might surprise me, and I want to know from you guys if this surprised you as well. So seems like Vic is just unleashing Brandon Graham last year as a Philadelphia Eagle, going to retire, going to make it his last, and he better make it his best. And I think we're all counting on that too, because Edge needs the most help as possible. Now, lastly, the transactions for the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles made some roster moves. They signed Jack Driscoll back to the practice squad. So he is back. I know he tried out for another team. I forgot where he signed. I think it was Miami. And then I think he came back. Wide receiver Kyle Phillips is signed. Now, they did release tight end Kevin Folch. They obviously have Jack Stahl now, E.J. Jenkins, on top of Calcaterra and Dallas Goedert. So they don't need another tight end. Kevin Folch didn't really have a bad camp. The preseason games caught a couple passes, nothing crazy, but, just not enough. There's way more, too much competition in front of him. And obviously safety Caden Stearns. They finally get rid of his ass because he was supposed to sign with the Carolina Panthers, couldn't pass a physical, was on medical, tried to sign with the Eagles without taking a physical. So I guess they kept him here to see if they could stay healthy. I thought Caden Stearns would be more of a next year type thing. They might bring him back next year, probably. I don't think he'll get signed by somewhere else, but Vic Fangio did draft Caden Stearns when he was the head coach to the Denver Broncos at that time. So those are your transactions for the day. And a lot more coming, guys. We're excited. I think the one thing we'll talk about tomorrow is really special teams going forward with Isaiah Rodgers coming back with the hand injury. You know, are they going to put Isaiah Rodgers on kick return? Is your kick? You know, we need our special teams, especially this year, to be the best they get. We need some return touchdowns this year. We need a lot more going into our special teams. The third part of our game that a lot of people don't really care about, but for kickoffs, it's going to be really, really, really important. So we'll see how that whole entire thing goes. But yeah, guys, let me know what you guys think in general about Jahan Dotson being heavily used. Is it a mistake? Do you think they're going to overly use him? Do you think it's a good idea? And obviously, Brandon Graham. I want to know from everybody in the comment section, what are your expectations for Brandon Graham this season? See where it goes. And other than that, guys, that's pretty much it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for more Eagles news every single day. Like the video. It does help the channel tremendously. Appreciate all the support. We'll be streaming the game on Friday, live play-by-play reaction. This video is sponsored by BetUS. Get a 125% deposit bonus on your first 3 deposits up to $2,000. Start betting on the Eagles. You're going to make a lot of money. Click the link in the description. Click my link to start betting now. And I will see you guys on the next one. Remember, shakes what up, follows live. Peace out, guys. Peace.